A lot of people have the false understanding that religious Jews in Israel don't serve in the army. I'm here to break that false assumption. Shalom, my friends. This is Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. Before we get into that specific question, let's just zoom out and understand army service in Israel in the IDF. Israel is a tiny country with lots of enemies on all sides and all borders. And one of the first laws to pass after the state of Israel was founded and created in 1948 was compulsory army service. Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, and others knew that we would need mandatory army service in order to have enough soldiers to fight the wars of Israel, the wars that they knew were going to come, the wars that they were actually in the middle of already at the founding of the state of Israel, that being the War of Independence. And as a result, for the last 70 plus years, 18-year-olds in Israel, they go from high school and they go into the army. They serve in the army in all kinds of units, doing all kinds of jobs in all kinds of ways, right? An army needs lots of personnel, from combat fighters to people working in the offices, to people working in the kitchens, to people driving the vehicles, to people flying the planes, to people fixing the planes. And Israelis understand the necessity and the need to serve in the army from a very, very young age. It's built into their culture. It's built into our culture. It's built into society. It's built into the educational system. It's built into the family environment. Kids see their parents serving in the army, right? Reserve duty, right? After you serve in the army 2 or 3 or 4 years, whatever it is that you're doing, right? Then you're doing reserve duty for many more years to come. And kids see that, they understand that. And they want to do that as well because they know that that's the only way that Israel is going to survive with all of these threats to its very existence. Now, also at the beginning of the state of Israel, leaders of the Orthodox community, specifically the ultra-Orthodox community, which at the time was very, very tiny, came to Ben-Gurion and said, look, if you take our boys out of the yeshiva, the houses of study, right, where they study Torah, and put them into the army and they die, we're not going to have a Torah community left in this country. In the Jewish state, we're not going to have a Torah community. And Ben-Gurion was sympathetic to that idea, and he gave them an exemption. He said, okay, as long as you're studying Torah, they can have an exemption from the army. There are other people who get exemptions as well, people who excel in sports and arts, music, and the like. And an exemption was given at the beginning of the state of Israel, right, to Torah students. The challenge is that over the years, because of the high birth rate in the ultra-Orthodox community and the Orthodox community in general, the number of yeshiva students every single year grew and grew and grew until every year there's tens and tens and tens of thousands, over 50,000 of them getting an exemption every single year. The rest of the country saw that, right? Specifically the secular Israeli community, and said, what's the deal? That's not fair. Why don't they go to the army? We send our sons and daughters to the army. Why shouldn't they? And became a real rift in Israeli society, real source of tension over the years. Now, I don't want to go to the depths of that conflict and of that tension, but what I do want to say is that there are religious Jews in Israel who do go to the army, right? They're not necessarily in the ultra-Orthodox community, although there are individuals here and there that every year do break out of the mold, right, and step up to assume the responsibility of serving their country and defending their country. And there are some every single year, and the numbers are slightly growing, right? Who step out of the ultra-Orthodox community and put on the uniform and do serve in the army. But there's another community within the Orthodox community here in Israel, and that is what we call Dati Ulami, the national religious community. The national religious community, sometimes called modern Orthodox, not the best way to describe them, but that's what they're called in America. The national religious community, they're Orthodox, they're fully religious. They don't wear the traditional black and white. They wear more modern clothing, different kind of head coverings, more like mine, and usually smaller, different colors. They serve in the army in numbers, in massive numbers, right? Because for them, going to the army is a mitzvah, it's a commandment, it's a responsibility, but it's also an obligation from the Torah, from Judaism. They live here in the land of Israel. They're proud to live here. They're proud to be Jews, and they know that Israel needs to be defended. And from the viewpoint of Judaism and the Torah, it is a mitzvah, it is a commandment, right? To take part in the defense of your people, your land, and your country. And they value that very greatly. And that is why massive numbers of Orthodox men of this kind of the national religious camp or community will serve in the army, and they strive for high positions, as high as they can get, right? Combat positions. So it's very interesting when you look at the beginning years and decades of the state of Israel, the number of religious Jews in the army in general was very low, and the number of religious Jews in elite units and combat units was very, very low. That changed over time, right? As this value grew and grew and got stronger and stronger in the national religious Orthodox community, and now the numbers have swelled to such high numbers, right? And the numbers of religious Orthodox Jews in elite and combat units is disproportionate. It's super high. Sometimes in any given unit being the majority, right? And so it's a beautiful thing to see, and it's an important thing to know that there are Orthodox Jews in Israel going to the army. My own kids, right, will go to the army. My oldest just finished 12th grade. He's doing a gap year in of study, and after that, he's going to the army. His cousins, right, all Orthodox Jews living here in Israel, all have gone into the army, right? The ones older than him, or are in the army right now, serving in very, very important units, doing very, very specific and important things, right? So this misunderstanding, which is common amongst people, especially outside of Israel, that Orthodox Jews in Israel don't go to the army, that is semi-true, right, for the ultra-Orthodox community, but is not true for the national religious Orthodox community. For them, it is a source of pride. It is a sense of responsibility, duty, and obligation. And it's incredible to see the self-sacrifice that comes out of this community and other communities in Israel, right, who send their daughters in Israel, their daughters, sons and daughters to the army, right, whose sons and daughters proudly, right, go to the army and serve and protect their people, their land, and their country. Thank you, and be well.